This is Chamber Voices, conversations with the people that drive local business. Presented by the Fort McMurray Chamber of Commerce.
Well, thank you for catching this episode of Chamber Voices. My name is Stuart McIntosh. You have found the podcast that is a presentation of the Fort McMurray Chamber of Commerce, the one where we direct the questions to the business community, the one that the podcast that focuses on getting to know the individuals behind these amazing businesses that make up our chamber membership. And today is certainly no different. We cannot wait for this one. I'm speaking today to the visionary, the dreamer, the founder and the owner of Project Clothing here in Fort McMurray. I'm talking to Mya Khan today. Hey Mya, how are you?
Keep hyping me up, Stuart. Keep hyping me up.
What more can I say? I love, you mentioned this is on your business card. I love that you refer to yourself as the dreamer. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Because it is, right? As the entrepreneur, as the person behind the business, this is your dream coming to life, right?
Oh, totally. Like, it's such a dream come true.
Oh, beautiful. You're a pretty unique person. You've got the vibe of the entrepreneur. And now, having done this podcast, done a few episodes, I'm beginning to see kind of an archetype. The individuals who aren't satisfied with the way things are, they want to run the show. They want to kind of control their own destiny. And Project Clothing is a beautiful example of that. You can find them online in a lot of places. projectclothing.ca. There you can find their Shopify store. They're on Facebook and Instagram. Search Welcome to Project. Tons of content and a really great way for you to kind of understand what it's all about. So Mya, let's start with you kind of sharing a bit about yourself, about your background, and maybe how you made it to Fort McMurray to start this business.
I used to work, so I'm born and raised Calgarian.
Okay.
So I used to at your Harry Rosen's, your Renfrew's, like high-end boutiques for like years. And we had a ton of people fly in from Fort Mac, Grand Prairie, like all these places to come shop in Calgary. Like literally just, quick day binge shop and then fly back. And I'm like, isn't there anything in Fort McMurray? Like, there's a ton of people that were coming up to shop with me there, just making appointments, fly in, do the shop, like, and then fly back. And they're like, no, there's literally nothing there. But what was interesting to me was, I'm trying not to knock other businesses, but a lot of the, like, and then we came up to do the research, but a lot of, like, say a pair of jeans was $250 in Calgary. It was marked up to about $400 or $500 here.
Wow.
Which was insane. So I'm like, okay, so in luxury clothing, there's enough markup for you to survive, right? Like to pay your bills, pay your payroll, your rent and everything. In luxury, I can't speak on other businesses, right? But just specifically for luxury. And I've been doing this for 20 something years now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I sound like I'm 5 on the phone, but I've been doing it. I'm like, okay, that really like hurt my soul, where I was like, okay, here's a town that's working, 12, 15-hour days, which is normal. The rotations would be insane for some of my clients, like 3 weeks on, 2 days off, like insane. And they're working so hard and people were just taking advantage of that, which was insane.
Yep.
So I was like, okay, so then I flew up here, I assessed the situation, and even, the rents were high. Like, we came here 2015, so we did the research during the boom time, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
So then when we came up here, we're like, there's such an opportunity here. If we come in here, and we call something called MRSP, which is retail suggested pricing. So our game plan was like, okay, people are paying triple the price for shittier service. Right.
And anyone who lived here, in the first half of the 2000s, they're not going to say you're wrong, Mya.
This whole, like, and that will be another conversation I'll probably have with you about supporting local. But how can someone support local when that was happening? So these poor individuals would be like, okay, I don't have a choice. I need something now. So they would pay insane markups. So I'm like, okay, if I come into town paying the same price online, if not cheaper, because sometimes we can get better pricing if we're a brick and mortar store. So if we do the same and also offer alterations for the life of the garment, come after 5 years to get like a repair done or lost a little bit of weight or anything, and we don't charge for that. So I was like, okay, there's huge opportunity here for that. So we opened August 13, 2015. That's my lucky number.
So 13 is the lucky number for Mya Khan?
Yeah, I think I'm going to hell. That's why 13 just lines up for me. It was just a no-brainer. So August 13, 2015, and then 8 months later, the fire happened. So we were shut down for 6 months because a lot of the stuff we get is made to order from all over the world. So I didn't think it was the right thing for my business to do was to like clean the clothes and sell them. We have a lot of like luxury pieces in here. So if it's smoke damage, that smell's never going to come out. Maybe some other fabrics, yes, but a lot of the stuff we had, no. So it took half a year to, restart again after 8 months. And then we were in downtown for that duration. And of course, the crash basically happened, but that was actually a huge blessing for us. We didn't start during the boom time and then, have this huge crash happen and then struggle to get back to where we were in the boom time. So the timing was actually perfect for us. And then the fire happened, and we were extremely fortunate that the insurance that we had in place was like amazing for us.
Oh, good.
No complaints on that. And then the city here, I have to say, does an amazing job of support. Like, I've never seen that working in big cities. So here it was like amazing. They're literally a phone call away if you need anything. So I'm extremely thankful to the city as well for how much they helped us here during the time of the fire and everything. And then our lease was done. The timing's crazy with the universe. So our lease was done basically a month or so after the flood happened. So the flood happened, the store was completely destroyed. We had about 5-6 feet of water in there. So we evacuated April 26th, and that was the day I found out I was pregnant. So she's going to come on like an apocalyptic day. So now she's 6 months, super healthy, thank God. So, yes. And then a COVID on top of it, right? So, but I'm so fortunate that maybe I'm a glutton for punishment, but it's just, like, okay, this happened. How do we fix it? Let's move forward, right? Because you can't put energy to things you can't control. There's no point.
There is no point. That's a beautiful sentiment. If I were talking to anybody else, Mya, my next question would be something to the effect of, was there ever a doubt in your mind of coming up here? Was there ever a thought that maybe I should return to Calgary and just close it up? But it doesn't sound to me like you're that kind of person. I just don't get that vibe from you.
I like it here.
Yeah.
Like, from a big city, and I think Fort Mac, you just appreciate things more. Going to, when you go to the mountains now for a holiday or when you travel or whatever it is, I think you're forced to kind of appreciate things. Like when I was like, oh my God, there's nothing to do. Like I was born and raised, so I was like, oh my God, there's nothing to do in Calgary. But now I'm so like thankful when right? Like, oh my God, like when everything starts opening up and everything's like a little more comfortable for me to go out, then we're going to take that, like, we're going to be so appreciative of it. So the universe has a funny way of getting you in check. But no, like, the timing was insane for everything. But everything lines up perfectly because if you do spend, like I said, like, if you spend your energy, like, we don't have a lot of energy during the day, right?
No.
Like, as an entrepreneur. So just spend time and effort on decisions that are going to impact you that day. But if you're going to spend it on unnecessary things, then you're not going to be able to function. You just can't move forward. So I don't know if this gibberish is making sense, but it's making perfect sense because I'm thankful for whatever happened to me because it was such a important lesson for me in regards to business, in regards to how to handle things, how to take care of the staff, like everything. So everything in maybe a weird way ends up being a blessing for us. And it's within 5-6 years all this stuff happened, and what a cool story comes out of it after you go through these things, right? Just
being in Fort McMurray, it just grows you as an individual. I mean, like, I grew up in Edmonton, and I remember coming up here, and when I look back to when my wife and I arrived here back in the day, I mean, we were children. We were literal baby children, And it's just like we go back to the city now. We go back to see our friends and our people, and we've grown. This community has allowed us to learn things, and through hardships like the ones we've endured recently, we've come out of it more mature and with the ability to handle things in a new way, and with the ability to look at things differently. It's the truth, Mya. I believe you 100%.
And what a loving community.
Yep.
Like, when the fire happened, it was like people were coming out of the woodwork going like, do you need anything? Where are you? Are you okay? If someone pulled over on the side of the road, like 4 cars would pull up behind them going like, what do you need? Are you okay? What's going on? Like, total strangers helping total strangers. Like, if you're in Calgary, we pretend like we don't see you and we keep driving. Like, just, no.
The next guy will get him.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Still figure.
Mya Khan, after spending over a decade in Calgary, working in these luxury clothing brands, saw that our community needed what she had to offer. That's where Project Clothing was born out of. You can find them online, projectclothing.ca. You can get them on Facebook. You can get them on Instagram. Search Welcome to Project. And your brick and mortar store right now, Mya, things are easing up across the province, but obviously certain places are still approaching things with caution. At the moment, as we're talking right now, it is still by appointment only to come and visit your brick and mortar. Is that right?
So right now, it's appointments preferred. So if someone's appointment, then they get priority. And then, of course, if we're not busy in that moment and someone comes in, for sure we'll accept a walk-in. But I've unfortunately dealt with several deaths in our family with COVID.
Oh, I'm so
God
sorry.
forbid. That's okay. It's just, it's hard. So there's a personal attachment on that for me. So God forbid anyone ever have to be on a WhatsApp call back home watching a loved one get like cremated or buried. So I have a little bit of a more anal approach with it, I guess.
Yeah.
And then with staff, we did have a staff member that had COVID, and she was out for 2 months because she was hit with one of the really hard variants, and we are quite short-staffed. So of course, it's no one's fault if anyone gets COVID, but we have to do the right thing and make sure that they're resting and they're isolating. And then we try and do the best we can with our business to come to some sort of game plan. So, and we are getting a little bit of backlash. Why do you have to wear a mask when you come into the store? So we will provide a complimentary mask. It's no issue. I have 1,000 in the back. Like, we have no issues giving out masks. But you know, and you have to understand people's side of things too. Like, it's been a hard year and a half for people. So emotions are high. COVID is still happening. It's never going to go away. But it's just, I have to do what's right for our store, regardless of what people's emotions are sometimes.
Thank you for saying that. We need to hear it. I mean, even recently in the last few days, the first thing I did the day that we were able to is I went and I picked up groceries and stuff at a place near my house without a mask. I walked in. And of course, everybody, all the staff were still masked up, and about 50% of the patrons were. And, you know, I walked out thinking, man, am I being a little bit arrogant in this? I mean, technically, yes, I am allowed to walk into this store without a mask, but we've just gone through a year and a half where all we've been talking about is showing compassion to one another. It doesn't need to stop just because the rules have changed. If you throw a mask in your car, keep a mask in your back pocket, that means a lot. It goes a long way just to certain individuals. So I'm glad that you bring this up. I'm glad that you touched on this, Mya. Thank you.
Yeah, like I have a little 6-month at home. My mother-in-law is a breast cancer. My father-in-law is Parkinson's. So everyone has a reason for things, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, not like I don't want to give you a hard time, but
but this is the way it is. I don't think, in my opinion, for the foreseeable future, at least until the end of the year, I mean, we just have to realize that this is going to be the way that it is, and we just have to remember all the lessons in compassion that we've been learning for the last since basically the start of last year. We just have to remember the lessons, like kindergarten. Absolutely.
Like wash your hands.
Yeah, exactly. Wash your hands. That'll never go away, hopefully.
Yeah.
It is such a privilege to be speaking to Mya Khan on this episode of Chamber Voices. You can find her business, Project Clothing, the one for which she is the visionary, online in all the usual places, right? Facebook, Twitter, and certainly Instagram. Look up Welcome, the number 2 Project. We're going to return with Mya in just a moment and get into the business side of this podcast episode. Talk a little bit about e-commerce and what it means to become a household name in a business community such as ours. That's all on the way here on Chamber Voices.
This is Chamber Voices, conversations with the people that drive local business. Presented by the Fort McMurray Chamber of Commerce.
Well, welcome back to Chamber Voices. My name is Stuart McIntosh. Don't forget, we have a pretty substantial back catalog now of at least 10 episodes as of the recording of this one, featuring many other great business leaders in the Fort McMurray business community. You can find Chamber Voices on Spotify, on Apple Music, and certainly on YouTube as well. Just find the Fort McMurray Chamber of Commerce YouTube channel. You'll track us down on our Facebook page at YMM Chamber. And as well, if you want to get information about what it is we do to advocate for local businesses, that's all on our website, fortmcmurraychamber.ca. Okay, I think I've done all the plugs. Let's get back to the second half of this episode of Chamber Voices, featuring Mya Khan, the visionary behind Project Clothing. So Mya, you touched a little bit on this, but I think it's really worth talking about. You know, in the age of e-commerce, Project Clothing does e-commerce really, really well, and I definitely want to talk about it too as we get into the shopping local thing. But the industry that you're in changes. I'm sure it's very similar to like the restaurant industry, where it is shifting rapidly, and the way that you serve your clients is shifting rapidly. But the thing about what Project Clothing does that makes it unique is you're providing this ambience for someone who visits the store. You're providing an environment for them to experience the kind of quality clothing and products that you sell in a specific way, and you provide that one-on-one experience that you cannot get by buying something on Amazon, right? Like, that's just what you do. That's the reason for going to a place like Project Clothing.
So I guess that kind of gets me in that direction of supporting local.
Yeah.
You know, the city does a great job of, doing campaigns to support local. The chamber's doing great things to do campaigning for supporting local. But as a business owner, why should someone support local?
Mm-hmm.
If the customer service isn't there, if all these things are not in place, like if your people are not happy, if you don't have the right product depth, like there's so many things to it. Yep. But if the customer service is not there, why should I expect that person to come back here? Like, there's so many businesses that we talk to, and we all end up becoming really good friends, right? Sure. But as businesses, we have to hold ourselves accountable too. Like, don't wait for something bad to happen to realize you need an e-commerce. Don't wait to start doing your social media until things get really bad. Always be proactive. Like, during COVID, we had to change gears, but we didn't have to change gears too much either. We always did complimentary delivery. We always did care packages for people who couldn't leave. We always did all these things. So we just had to advertise it more. That was what I had to learn to do. But it was just, we as businesses have to give a reason for people to support local. And we need to stop ripping off local customers. We just need to stop. Don't use things as an excuse to increase pricing. We have to take ownership of, we are driving the local customer to go to your Amazons and your all these online stores, because If the service is not there, like people will never mind spending an extra couple bucks if the service is there.
Oh yeah.
They'll never. But if I come into a store, no one says hello to me. It's filthy. No one like wants to be there as staff members. Why do I want to go in there?
We are in the time, at least from my experience, as a result of COVID or as a result of just the fact that we haven't had the opportunity to be together. There's shortages, it seems like, on everything. I mean, the one that made the news earlier in the year was the shortage of lumber. There's a shortage of automobiles. It just seems like everywhere there is a shortage. And, you know, I would imagine that with things being in short supply, there is such an opportunity for certain retailers, certain businesses to look at that and say, well, I mean, I'm justified in jacking up my price a little bit. I mean, where else are they going to go? But you're right. It's a two-way street.
Yeah, within reason. Not to the point, like I said, like a pair of jeans was $250 in Calgary and it's $400 or $500 here.
Yeah.
Like, there's no reason.
And that's what I'm talking about too. Like those ridiculous markups. Yeah.
Yeah, like a couple bucks, fine. But like, luckily, I'm in the position where I don't need to jack it up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can do exact same MRSP online. Like, I could do the exact same numbers. Like, obviously, other businesses, it might be a little tricky. But then make sure your customer service is in place.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure if there's a customer complaint, you follow up with it.
Yes.
Just the service part of it is just missing. And then so many businesses kind of reach out to each other going like, I don't know what to do. It's dead. I'm like, my first question for them is like, well, what's your social media? I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
Like, you had a 0 day and you're saying you don't have time for that. Make time.
That's beautiful. It's true. It's like, do it. Make the time. So let me ask you this. I'm going to kind of put a scenario. I'm going to present a scenario to you. So I'm local. I'm still not at the point where I'm comfortable enough to visit you in store, but I've heard that you have a great social media presence, and I see it, and I'm doing my thing, and I want to buy online. I want to shop for stuff from you online. How do I go about doing it? And what's my turnaround? When can I expect to get my product from you if I live locally?
Fort Mac, I can go to one end of town and the other in 15 minutes.
Awesome.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm driving to Anzac. I'm driving to all these places too. Like, I like drop it off same day. I do it myself. I want to see people. I'm tired of being locked up. So like, I want to go see people too. But, you know, give me a call, right?
Yep.
Give one of our associates a call at the store and we'll do a virtual shopping with you. Like,
wow.
We do virtual all the time because sometimes you just need to see the person's reaction. Do you actually like it? Okay, cool. You know what, Stuart, you made a face when I showed you this shirt. You don't like it? We're not doing it, right? And then if I drop off pieces to your home and you don't like it, I'll come back and pick it up. This town is tiny. Like, it's not like it's not an inconvenience for us either. Like, I'll go back and pick it up and we're still accepting returns, right? And then we have a crazy cleaning procedure if someone does the odd return here and there. We have a lot of clients that are high risk. So when they come in the store, they have an appointment. The store is reserved for them, obviously, right? But if someone literally is like not comfortable leaving their home, we'll make a care package, do a virtual shop, drop it off. And a lot of clients we have a good relationship with over the years, so I'll know what they like. I'll just put a care package together, drop it off. Whatever they don't like, I pick it back up.
Unbelievable. I hope if you're listening that you are getting what we're saying here. I hope that this is coming across. This is amazing. And if you're a business, you know, Mya Khan, this is a lesson that should be taken at face value and applied. That is the truth. You can find Project Clothing, Unit 107, 108 Riverstone Ridge, and you can call them 780-750-5578. Yeah, shopping local when you put in the effort that you are, Mya. We owe it to businesses like you to give it a try first, particularly in considering that the stuff that you're selling, the products that you have, you know, they're of a certain quality. They're of a certain level of exclusivity. That's part of the purchase. I don't want to embarrass you too much, but I do want to talk a little bit about a really amazing story that the Chamber of Commerce picked up on. I think it was near the end of May. So there was a young boy down in Edmonton who had a sweater that was purchased by a relative from Project Clothing. He lost the sweater, and his parents decided that it was a learning lesson for him, and he would have to go back to you and purchase a sweater again using his own money. But that was the story. That's how the story began. I'll leave it to you to kind of tell the rest of it. This is beautiful. I'll let you talk. I'll let you share this one.
Oh, it makes me like all like teary. But he's like, you know, like the client reached out to me going like, hey, someone stole his hoodie on the playground, and then told me the whole situation. So they just wanted to have him replace it, which I thought was genius. Like, what a good teaching lesson for him. But it just, you know, I'm a new mom too now. So my little heart was like, no,
cannot.
I can't do it. I'm like, but I didn't want to take that teaching moment away either, because I thought that was genius. So I'm like, okay, maybe just have him pay it forward. Right. So then with it, he didn't even, his name's Townsend. He didn't even hesitate. He's like, oh my God, I'm going to give the money to the school library.
Wow.
Like, didn't think. And I'm like, oh my God. And then that was like, that made me even go like, okay, let's do like, you know, a cash drive, like a book drive to put towards the library. And then at the end of it, in like 3-4 days, we raised about $1,420.
For the library, for Townsend School's library.
Isn't that crazy?
That's amazing. In days.
I'm like, what? And it was just like, I was blown away.
Yeah.
Like, we did a charity thing for the firefighters a while back too, and same thing. Like, and this town is so generous. Like, same thing. In a couple of days, we raised like 1,000 something. In
days.
Like, in like a couple of days. So, and the school was so like speechless, and this boy's like so motivated now, and hopefully like that's something that stays with him for his rest of his life, right? And like now he's like I love doing this now, like I want to do this all the time. And I'm like, oh. But yeah, like just being a new mom and stuff, I'm like, this poor boy was not allowed to be outside, right? Go see his friends, go play and stuff. Like, we just have to keep everyone like stuck in a box right now. And finally had the opportunity, like the weather got nicer, and he loved that hoodie. It looks so good on him. And finally wears it out, and then someone just, and whoever stole it is an idiot, because it was a collector item, and it's like an obvious hoodie that if you are out seen in public with it, someone's gonna know. Like, there's not a lot of those hoodies out. So I'm like, so whoever stole it can't even wear it out in public, because it's gonna be obvious now.
And it's, I would imagine, I mean, we're talking about an elementary school age kid. I don't know who gives a child a stolen garment they stole from a playground, because mom and dad aren't wearing that thing. Like, here you go, no. Timmy, I stole this from a kid on a playground. Happy birthday. Oh,
like,
man.
Like, so how do you, like, I'm like, oh, but I was so amazed with this little boy. I'm like, wow, like without hesitation was like, and then he like got his little lunch money together and like wrote a note to his principal to like donate the money and everything. And like, we put it on our social media too. I was like trying not to ugly cry, but like, look at how much hope this generation has. Like, going through COVID, going through like such an it's like unheard of, like going through something like this in our lifetime. And now these poor kids are going through it. And he still had the heart of like paying it forward. The heart of a giver. Something that I think you also possess, Mya. The heart of a giver. I fake it. Mya, I could probably talk to you for 2 hours, but I know you work in retail. We have an allotted amount of time for the podcast, so I don't want to take more of your time than I know I'm allowed. But before we wrap up this episode of the Chamber Voices podcast, I wanted to give the floor to you. I wanted to know, is there anything else you want to touch on while we have this time together? I think I just want to reach out and just give a message to other local businesses that if there's anything we can if we can vibe off each other, if we can talk to each other, if there's tips they can teach me, if there's tips I can teach them, like my door is open for if anyone needs anything or wants anything, because we need to stick together as a community like more than ever now. That's why I recently joined the chamber as well, because we just recently joined the chamber. as well, because I do like where the direction of the chamber is going. Like before, I think during the boom time, it was just like it was just like everyone was super busy, but everyone was doing so well that there was not really a need for a lot of support. But now I think we need to get together as a community going like, hey, so-and-so, I've actually, you know, I went into your store once and I really like it, but, you know, I was trying to look for you on social media. Is there something I could help you with? Maybe I don't know how to do it. It's like, okay, cool. Like, why don't we teach each other things? And if there's a business that's been in town for 40 years, you know, and there's been some amazing businesses in town here that we talk to on a regular basis just for their opinion and their feedback, because I'm not going to know everything, right?
No, of course not.
When I first came into this town, it was like corporate thinking, like, oh, do scheduling like this, do this like this, like all this stuff. And they're like, you can do that, but Fort McMurray is its own beast. Like everyone's shift work, there's not there's no consistency, right? Because of shutdowns and all this stuff. And just it's a totally different world here. So that's what I learned very quickly, but very fortunate that a lot of businesses that like from the get-go reached out to me going like, hey, if you need anything, you need any advice or help, let us know. So now I've been here for 5-6 years now. I hope I could do the same thing for what a lot of amazing businesses here have done for us when we came. Like it's such like, I can't say enough great things about this place in regards to like community. So if there's a business that's listening that would maybe want some support or maybe some guidance that I can maybe relay to them, like call me. Like, and my phone's always on, my social media is always on. I'm the idiot who's like messaging you back 3 a.m.
I noticed, I checked one of your posts the other day and it was like posted at 3:40 a.m. Really?
Yeah, I sleep. Like it's just like, but when you love what you do, it's not work, right? It's just like when you talk to successful entrepreneurs, and it just, that really stuck with me where someone's like, how do you handle work-life balance? I think if you love what you do, it doesn't feel like you have to do any sort of work-life balance because it's something you love doing. It's not, you don't have to mentally put yourself in that mind state like, okay, I got to work now. Like if you love what you do, and that's the other thing too, if you want to be an entrepreneur, just make sure you do something that you love doing because you need to have that motivation to keep going.
Everyone loves the idea of being wealthy. Everyone loves the idea of having security financially and otherwise. But, you know, to get that, it's about following passions. And that's clearly what you're doing. So it's great. Mya, this has been really, really awesome. You can find Project Clothing on the web, projectclothing.ca. They're downtown, 107-108 Riverstone Ridge. Their phone number is 780-750-5578. They're on the gram. They're on the Facebooks. Welcome, the number 2 project. You need to check them out, and you need to see what they have for you, because the experience in purchasing something from them will be unlike anything you've probably had, certainly since COVID, but probably in many, many years. It's really great. Thank you, Mya, so much for this.
And hopefully, I'm excited what everything's going to bring this year and next year and going forward. Like, I'm really excited, and I think everything's going to go in a better direction for everyone.